Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Harris Bard for Pond Life Aquatics and Tropical Fish London, and in today's video I am going to be briefly taking you through the new Aquaflow plants that we got in this week, and then I'm going to be showing you a new aquascape that I'm going to be making in store here today. So let's get into it. So first things first, I'm going to leave it to past Harris to explain all the new plants that came in from Aquaflow. But if you want to skip over that, I'll leave the timestamps in the description below. And I'm going to be setting up a Superfish Cube 15. But first, let's look at the plants. Hi, so we got a really tight plant order in this week. So I just wanted to talk you through it before I put it all away, because we've got some really nice little pieces in, and I think it's worthwhile just talking you through. The first thing of note are the pieces of wood that we got in. We got 3 different kinds from Aquaflow this week. We got the Anubias Nano on wood, which I think these are absolutely gorgeous. These are tied on with fishing line rather than glued, so they are actually already grown on. It's just how they've been propagated, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. We also got these in the Microsorum variant, which they're the same price as the Anubias, so it's really up to like preference. Again, epiphytes on wood, just absolutely gorgeous, super easy to keep, really just great for structure in an aquarium, for giving hiding places for little fish. It is worth noting we got these in the suspended variants as well, which I'll show off, which have suction cups on them so they can be sat further up in the tanks, and I've talked about how I think those are a great idea. Yeah, really gorgeous plants this week, really nicely grown in, absolutely beautiful. And the third kind of epiphyte on wood we got in, and this is just a tester because I wanted to see how they would fare. This is their 3 kinds of plant on wood, where they literally have Anubias, Java Fern, and Moss, and I think these are stunning. What a gorgeous little piece. It's like a little, just, I don't know, I'm a little bit stumped with it. It's absolutely beautiful. They're a little bit more expensive than the regular pieces where they just have the single piece of plant on wood, but I think these are worth the price difference. They're a few pounds more, but they're absolutely gorgeous. I would love to have something like this and just like a really simple little 20 aquarium. If I was going to be keeping shrimp, it would just add a bit of dynamic to an aquarium like that. Really happy with how this one's coming. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I did get some of the Aquaflow easy grow pots in, and this is Utricularia graminifolia, which is a really kind of difficult to grow kind of moss. It needs high light and CO2. It's really similar to Richia moss, which is, I think I've got a pot of Richia there. No, I do not. It's really similar to Richia in the sense that it's a moss that can be grown either attached to something or it can float. The only thing that kind of distinguishes Utricularia against Richia is that it is a carnivorous species of plant. It won't eat your fish or anything like that, but it does eat microorganisms that swim by creating these little bubbles. It does need highlighting. It's a little bit difficult to keep, but I think it was worthwhile getting something kind of interesting in. I know a couple of people who love rarer mosses that might be interested in this, so I'm going to give them a message later today and see if they want something like this. I'm really happy we have this in. I'm definitely going to play with it at home, so I'll be taking one of these pots home. And then I've also got, this is Gratiola viscodula, and it is a small fleshy plant from North America, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and with enough light, it will stay relatively short, about 20 centimeters tall. It has these like really nice spiky leaf structures on it, and it's relatively easy to grow anyway. So it doesn't strictly need CO2, it does just need good lighting. So I was thinking about setting up a Superfish 15 cube in store later today, and I think I'm going to be using one of these. These are super cool, super lovely. I ordered a few more pots in and they didn't come, but hey, what can you do? Now, this is Heteronfera sostifolia. I can never pronounce the Latin. Heteranthera zoster. It's also known as star plant, and I love this plant. We haven't been able to get it in for ages, so I got 12 pots of it in just in case. It says average to grow on the label. I'm not sure why, because it's one of the easiest plants I've ever grown. With enough light, it goes more like star shaped on the top, which is why it's known as star plant. But I've always found it super easy to grow. It's quite a tall stem plant. It gets about 50 centimeters tall. I would kind of compare it in growth speed to something like Hyperphilia polysperma, super fast growing, really, really gorgeous plant. I think this would be kind of ideal in the aquascape that I want to do in store, where I was going to set up a 60 litre for some sparkling gourami. So that's really the reason I got these in. I also think it's something a little bit different for fast growing stem planting that I think people will genuinely enjoy. I haven't kept this since I was a teenager, so I was genuinely excited to see it on the list. It's this and Progestimum ophipogon octopus plant, if you know what that is, that I've been trying to get a hold of for a while. So I'm happy this one's come in. Hopefully Aquaflow will have some octopus plant in at some point, and I'll be able to do an aquascape with 2 of them. But for now, I'm happy this one's come in. Now this one's new for me. This is Smolus floribundis, which is, to me, looks kind of like a watercress. Apparently it's quite easy to grow. It's a nice foreground plant. It's relatively similar in terms of growth to something like storage and repens, from what I've read. I just saw it on the list and I had never heard of it before, so I wanted to get it in and give it a go. I might be playing around with this later on, we'll see. I think it's quite pretty. It looks like watercress to me, which is always nice. And then we also got something in that looks exactly like watercress, Hydrocotyl tripetata, where I love Hydrocotyl tripetata. They come in these plastic bags to keep them safe. But Hydrocotyl tripetata is a diminutive version of a hydrocotyl species, so super, super easy to grow. This is ideal in nano aquariums. I think I'm going to be playing around with this later on today. We got a lot of space in the plant tank. We sold a lot more plants, and I used a lot for the aquascape I did earlier this week. Really gorgeous little plants in this week. To wrap it up, we got some Eleocharis acicularis, dwarf hairgrass, really easy to grow plant. Gorgeous little carpeting species. And then, oh, that's the wrong plant. And then I can't get an order without Liliopus novia zealandia. I push this to everyone. I think it is one of the easiest growing stem plants for carpeting that I've ever kept. I absolutely adore this plant. I think anyone who wants a pseudo carpet or just wants something really nice and vibrant and fun to grow in a nano aquaria, Liliopus is one of my favorite plants for that. I'll see you guys later on, where I think I'll probably just be doing a little aquascape. Really tight order in this week. We're not getting any fish because we're really heavily stocked, but really, really happy with the Superfish order. Aquaflow, I should say. So this is the tank I'm going to be setting up today. It is a Superfish Cube 15, and I've been talking about setting them up in store for ages, so I'll talk over the top of this as I work. Let's get into it. So getting into it, I really like these little aquascapes. They are £73.99 for a scaping aquarium. I think that's great. These are 15 liters, so they come with literally everything you can need. They come with a hang-on filter, they come with a light, background, self-leveling mat, and they come with Colombo FloraGrow in the form of liquid CO2 and regular plant fertilizer. They might actually just come with plant fert. I thought they came with both. I digress. Anyway, I am going to be working with the filter in situ, just so I know exactly where it's going to sit. And I'm thinking these filters are super, super easy to use. They are really easy to set up, where you can literally just have this pipe that you push in situ, and that's literally it. You've got all these different attachments, but I think I'll probably just go with the straight onto there attachment. We'll see, but yeah, that's where it's gonna sit regardless. And it's got a nice flow adjuster, and you just need to prime it before it goes into use, but that's literally it. And I think I'm going to just check how the light sits again, see how that all sits down and looks. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, it's a really tight form factor piece. This is a really gorgeous little aquarium. I'm excited to work with it. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be really, really nice. I really wasn't sure about doing the white background on this, but I've never done a white background aquarium, I'll be honest, and I'm still not sure about it. We'll see. I want to give it a go because this comes with both black and a white background, and because the stem is white, I am just going to give it a go for the time being, and we'll see how it goes. I had this idea for an aquascape because a customer of mine showed me a picture of this kind of tree looking aquascape, and it looked good to me, but I was like, I could do that. I could probably do that in store. I could do it better. So that's what I'm going to try and do today. So I am going to go into the stock room, have a little look around at the different pieces of hardscape we have, pick up some things, decide on what we need. So what I've decided to go for is Nutribase to begin with, just because I think it's a really great nutritive substrate. I want to grow quite a good amount of plant in this aquarium, so I think Nutribase is just a really solid, cool. Add a little bit more for a bit of height. Glad that I put this in just so I can be aware of the height of the actual substrate. These are quite small aquariums, but I have a pretty solid idea of what I want. I do want the planting to come relatively far forward, but I don't think I want to be able to see the Nutribase on the front. I don't mind about seeing it on the sides. I think it adds a bit of charm. That's probably enough Nutribase, the entire thing. So next up is I want to be using this Nano base by Colombo as well. I've been eyeing it for ages because I just think it's such a beautiful looking substrate. It's quite powdery, but it really softens the water, and it's really apparently great for plants. So I just need to use it as a cap for my Nutribase. I'm just going to use this gravel scraper to balance off the way it looks. As a lot of you will know, it's important to try and create some perspective in aquariums, particularly ones that are small. Doing that can be a struggle. So it's important to make sure you've got a sufficient bank towards the back of the aquarium to give it a real sense of depth. I got 3 pieces of wood to primarily play with, and I had a look around and I ended up with this Weo root that looks pretty gorgeous, and sitting it in, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. If I sit it like that, I think that's definitely the nicer way of sat it. That could be good. Next up is this. It's an Aquadella Thai root, which could be kind of cool to have. And do it as almost like a tree, and then have the hardscape rock surrounding it. That could actually be pretty awesome. Might end up doing that. Okay, and then finally we have this Weo Centurion wood, which would honestly quite nicely hide a lot of the filter. Although, oh, I like that as well. I'm unsure. That looks pretty. I usually work with quite chunky piece of wood, so I think to give myself a bit of a challenge and do something a bit different, I think I'm gonna work with the skinny piece. So I think I've decided to go with this piece, and I'm not just gonna have it on its own. That would look kind of odd, but I had a look around our hardscape and I couldn't find anything in the regular rock section that really tickled my fancy for today. So I went into the garden center we're attached to's rockery area. They're called Finchley Nursery's Garden Center. We've been close with them for a very long time. They're the reason we're here. We wouldn't exist without them. So they're very good to us. But I think if I play around with some pieces like this, these are called duck eggs, I think is the rock type. If I play around with them, that kind of looks pretty nice. It kind of frames it really nicely where you have these pieces, and then there's also a whole bunch of articulation stones I can use alongside it, kind of boost in. I am gonna have to put that down into place. I'm not sure about that. That's kind of the beauty working in a place with a massive rockery zone and being able to aquascape here, is that sometimes if you don't feel like working with conventional aquascape rocks, you do just have an entire rockery area that you get to play with. So maybe like that. I really need to secure these down when I've decided. I think something like that is going to be really nice. Maybe that's too big. Maybe if we go for something daintier like that, as a framing piece, and then bank up some more of the, I think that's kind of nice. It's a bit different. That's kind of cool. And then we can have it look like a dead tree, maybe attach some booths in here. Yeah, that's working for me, but for the time being, I need to get this all secured into place. Right, so that took a little bit longer than I thought it would, just because it was quite difficult to get in here, but that's now all fully set. That's not going anywhere, because Dimax Composeal is the best thing to happen since sliced bread. I think I'm going to cover up some of that base with some Taxophilium special spiky moss, which is just like all moss, super easy to grow, really pretty. Yeah, this is the last pot I have in from Aquadip, and I think it's gonna go to good use here. I'm gonna get some more in next week, hopefully. So I'm gonna be using some of this Superfish scaping glue because I've been working with it recently and it really is just great. I've been getting really good results with it, no issues, no notes. It's scaping glue. I think everyone's kind of got one at this point. It's really not that complex, but I kind of just want to use this here to cover up some of that Composeal, because the Composeal is now fully set and it kind of feels like rock. So you can literally just attach plants straight on top of Composeal. They're not gonna be disadvantaged by it, and this is really like it's completely set in stone. There's no give. So I think if I try and articulate around the base of this hardscape with the spiky moss, it's gonna be really nice. And then I'm gonna go in with some stem planting around it, and instead of doing an Iwagami style aquascape like I saw with someone else who did this kind of tree style, I'm going to do something that's a little bit easier to maintain. Honestly, this isn't going to be a high-tech CO2 aquarium. So realistically, I don't want to have to be doing constant water changes to keep algae down. I want there to be a lot of stem planting to help keep this maintained, particularly because someone's probably going to be taking this home and I don't want them to have to deal with that in terms of the maintenance, really. Yeah, this really isn't going to be the most complex aquascape that I've ever done. It doesn't need to be. It's something a little bit different than what I'm used to doing, and that's what I'm going to be trying to doing more. I don't want to get into the habit of going, this is my style. I want to branch out into trying new things. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It is what it is. I don't want to be the type of person that is afraid to explore new styles of aquascaping because I run the risk of messing something up. I want to be the type of person who can kind of, you know, show off the fact that they have their own store to play with. I can create fun and weird little aquascapes just because I want to. I think that looks really nice so far. I think it really is quite simplistic. I'm looking forward to putting some extra pieces down. Next up, we're going to be using some of this tissue culture of Gratiola viscodula. It's really well grown in. It can be used as a mid-foreground plant. It gets about 20 centimeters tall. So I think I'm just going to make it up into these little pluglets. It's really gorgeous coming straight out the pot. And I'm just going to see how far a single pot of this goes. Realistically, for this size aquarium, you're only going to need probably about a pot, maybe a pot and a half of each plant type, even less sometimes. When I first set up one of these 15s, I was using half pots here and there. I guess I did that at a aquascaping workshop, and the beauty of that is you can just use half a pot and share it with someone else, and it's a real fun time. Just while I'm talking about the workshop, there are still some places left. I had a gentleman ask if he could do a larger aquarium. That's absolutely something we can do, and we can figure out a price for you. I am going to get in contact with the people who've already paid for their workshops and give them the option of doing a larger aquarium for a slight price increase, but it's absolutely something that we can figure out together. And I think it's totally something I'll do again in future. It's not something I even considered. I should have potentially given different price options and done different size aquariums. It's all a learning curve, and I'm learning as we go. So I ended up using 2 pots in the end. I think I'm going to leave this front section open just because, I don't know, I think it kind of looks a bit nice. No, I think I'm gonna leave it open. I might put some stones in between everything, like where just so that like you have pieces where like the plants can't spread. I think that's gonna be really quite nice. And then it kind of like ties everything in together. But yeah, that's something that I can play with as I go along. I think I'm going to be putting some boosts in here, although I kind of don't want to be ruining the perspectives. There is one type of boost Ephilander that I think will go really nicely in here. So next up is a plant that I was kind of umming and ahhing about because it is on the more difficult end of the range to grow for the plants I want to be using in here. But this aquarium is going to have liquid CO2, so I think it will be absolutely fine. And I think in a shallow aquarium like this, it's going to really be able to show off why it's called this. It's called Graminifolia aromatica, and it can grow quite tall, and that's the idea I want it to. I want this to actually grow out of the aquarium itself, because when it does, it creates these beautiful little flowers, and it smells like oranges. And I feel like a lot of shops can get hold of this plant, but because lots of people don't know about it, they know about Graminifolia sessiliflora and Graminifolia heteroflora, they tend to go for the easier growing species. But for this, I think it's absolutely fine. And it's been growing in an aquarium that's only got liquid CO2, and it seems to be doing really well anyway. So I think if I go in with a few pots of Graminifolia aromatica grow out the top of this aquarium, is going to be just fine, as long as I don't absolutely destroy this hardscape while I try and get in. So I think that looks really quite beautiful. It's gonna be standing up, so it's not gonna be blocking off too much. I am tempted to go in these gaps with some hydrocotyl tripetata, because I know it's already quite busy. I feel like the tripetata will add that different kind of texture to it. I can always take it out at a later date. But I think that putting in hydrocotyl tripetata after this aromatica is going to be really nice. And then I am unsure about using the Bucephalandra. Might place a few bits without gluing it and see how it looks, and then I'll make a final decision. But for the time being, I think I'm going to go in with some tripetata. It's delicate enough that I don't have to worry about it being too look at me for the rest of the aquascape, but it is just such a gorgeous little plant, and I love it. I really want to work with some. I might not even use an entire pot. I might just use a few pieces we have offcuts of, rather than opening a fresh pot, but we'll see. Yeah, I think it looks really, really good. This was meant to be a really simple aquascape, and I've been here for a few hours now, but I can't put this down now that I've started. I think I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to put the Bucephalandra on with glue without destroying this tripetata, and then also getting it done on a time frame where everything doesn't dry out. I wish I'd got a mister with me today, but I don't. So wish me luck. So I really like that. I'm really happy that I decided to go with the boost. So I'm just letting the glue set slightly, and then I'm going to get it over to where it's going to sit, and I'm going to get the filter primed, and then get it flooded and set up. Really happy, really beautiful little aquascape. So I'm super happy with this little nanoscape. I think it turned out absolutely beautifully. Honestly, for something that wasn't that planned, it was literally just off an image I saw yesterday, I think it's turned out really, really lovely. And I think it demonstrates just how nice the Superfish Cube aquariums are to work with, which leads me on to my bid at the end of this video. If you want to aquascape like this, where you have access to an entire room worth of hardscape, all different kinds of substrates that you can use and experiment with, then consider signing up for my aquascaping workshop at the end of this month on April 27th, where we'll be aquascaping a Scaper Cube 25 by Superfish that is just a larger version of this. and you can create something beautiful that you can take home, flood, and it can be ready to home something awesome like some chili rasbora or a Siamese fighting fish or even some Neocaridina shrimp. And if not, and you just enjoyed watching this video, then I hope you have enjoyed it. I've kind of lost myself this evening making this aquascape. I have really been enjoying just creating new pieces of art to show you guys recently, and I hope that you've been enjoying it as well. It does take a hell of a lot of work to make these videos and keep them up as often as I am. So all of your support really does mean quite a lot. That being said, next week, depending on how this weekend goes, I may or may not be doing a video on Wednesday. And then hopefully we will be getting a fish order in and I will be doing a full fish stock update on Saturday. If you made it this far, then comment down below what you would love to aquascape with in future. I personally would love to do a giant jungle scape, like an 800 liter. So in your ideal world, what would you aquascape with in the future? Anyway, it's now about 10 o'clock at night in the fish room, so it's time for me to go home. So for now, that's all from me here at Pond Life Aquatics. And I hope you'll join me again next time for this Pond Life.